Wow everyone, Moon Knight sure is quirky, so I'm gonna be quirky at the start of this video and tell you to follow me on Twitch right now. It's where I stream all of these runs, and folks like you in the chat help me have fun, even when the game isn't very fun. At the beginning of every game, as soon as you hit Limgrave, there he is, Varre, taunting you about your lack of maidens. But have you ever noticed he looks a lot like Moon Knight? That got me thinking, how would the avatar of Khonshu fare in the lands between? I'm on a quest to find the most fun build in Elden Ring. It's not about whether or not it's possible, of course it is. It's about fun. And the Moon Knight series is the most fun show I've streamed this year. I can't think of another one that comes close. We kick things off as a bandit. They have a lot of dexterity, a lot of arcane, and not a lot else. It's one of the lower level classes, which will give us some more flexibility later. Of course, the outfit is not very Moon Knight, so I decided to make myself Moon White in the character creator and just get naked. Close enough for now. Time to test Khonshu by jumping off a cliff, and yep, I got resurrected in Limgrave. He's here to help. Another avatar is waiting to insult our romantic prowess, but we'll just pass him and buy a crafting kit from Santa. Santa canonically exists in the Marvel universe. He's an Omega level mutant and hangs out with Captain Marvel in the Deconic run. Anyway, we grabbed some Roa fruit on the way to the Gatefront Grace. Normally I don't mention it, but it's actually important this time. Talk about that later. Get the horse and let's get this bread, gamers. We help Ben Grimm out of a hole. Moon Knight and the Thing are very good friends. They send each other Hanukkah cards. Some octopuses ganged up on me under the bridge for our first death, maybe the fastest death we've had so far. Whoops. Into the High Road Cave, we can grab the Shamshir. It's a great weapon. You're gonna say wow every time you use it. The Guardian Golem is really easy. Even if you're new to Elden Ring, you can do this. First, just charge a strong attack at its ankles as it stands up. You should be able to get off two, which will break its stance, then you can critically hit its chest. While standing up, just repeat. The Sham Wow is a pretty light weapon, and it worked just fine. Blue Dancer charm required. Since we're gonna be nakey jakey early on, that'll boost our damage by around 12%. The Third Church of America has a physic tier. We are allowed to go in there. Khonshu isn't from a monotheistic religion. Scoop up some fireflies and the stamina and charged attack physic tiers, then put Moon Knight in Fort Height. Up to the top, the Black Knight wants to square off, but the Eternals movie was mid, and everyone was just excited to hear Blade's voice in that post-credits scene, so sorry, time to die. He rewards us with the Bloody Slash Ash of War, which we can use later to make our weapons blood weapons, scaling with our high arcane to turn us into a late night blender. Warp to the Bestial Sanctum, do some grave robbing, get taken to the Round Table Hold, then start spanking Fing Fang Foom's Fing Fang Boom Boom until he dies. We have all the required stats for our weapons, which means I'm just cranking vigor as high as I can right away. It makes life easier. One Moonsword isn't enough for me. Let's ride down the elevator to the Saoirse Ronan River Well, then slink around the Minotaurs, climb through some scaffolding to find a merchant. Bad location, my guy. You might be starving because no one knows where your business is. He sells a Shotel, another moon-shaped curved sword. So even though I hate that these don't match and might be longer than Moon Knight's knives, I'm not gonna let that get to me. I'm certainly not gonna spend hours and hours grinding for a better weapon that's actually worse. Let's head to Stormvale. On second thought, let's not go to Stormvale. 'Tis a silly place. To the lakes instead. Start with the stones, then get some silver foulfoots that boost your item discovery by 50 points. Maybe that will matter later. More stones, dex tier, stones that aren't on the map, stones, and stones. Just because it takes a long time in the stream doesn't mean it needs to take a long time in the video. After jumping up the Spirit Spring to get to the Bellum Highway Grace and the Sacred Tier from the Bellum Church, we can get even more stones from the Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel. After dying to gravity twice on the way down, womp womp. The Crystallion isn't that bad. After you stance break it, just keep poking it. Our stamina is recovering really fast because we're nakey jakey, so after it gets hit, we just get enough stamina for another hit and win. That gives us the Smithing Stone Bellbearing 1 to buy stones 1 and 2 from the Maidens in the Round Table Hold. If we wanted to switch weapons later, that'll be important. I died going back for my runes, by the way, so those are just gone. Since we need runes, it's time to kill Nerd Juice, then enter the Murkwater Cave to fight Patches. Khonshu said I had to kill him. He's bamboozling travelers of the night. Take that bell bearing to the Twin Maidens and buy the pickles and the pickle recipe. Gold pickles specifically. There are actually other pickles. I wonder if that's gonna matter later. It will. That's another foreshadowing thing. Now to run up that hill. The hill in question is the Ruin-strewn Oedipus, the perfect level for any character with mommy issues. Technically, I could go to Altus with the Dectus Medallion, but this path has more smithing stone. rune arcs, and most importantly, bats. I'm kidding. Bats are just guarding what we really need, the Lost Ashes of War. That lets you duplicate Ashes of War, so now we can have 2 weapons that bleed. Khonshu demands blood. Before we kill the magma worm, I need a golden scarab from the Cleanrot Knights. Hey, that's actually something Moon Knight uses in the show. Neat. The Cleanrot Knights are weak to bleed, and now we have a lot of it, so they bleed to death pretty quickly. Fighting Loki in Stormvale Castle is pretty easy. We can summon Doctor Strange to help and bleed him. He's not even in the same pantheon as Khonshu. I did it for a pocket, now we can have 2 talismans at the same time. It makes Magma Worm Makar pretty easy, since he's just a dragon and we can make it bleed by stabbing its lower tail. It might seem strange that our god made us run up a hill to make a deal, but I've seen stranger things, and he's about to ask us to do something stranger. Up in Altus, we make a beeline for the Damanula Windmill Village, populated with maybe the creepiest enemies in all of Elden Ring. It's a bunch of ladies that don't attack you and just vibe out dancing. I don't know why that's creepier, if I had to guess, it's a context thing. Imagine you're going through a haunted house full of monsters trying to scare you, and then one room just had a kid playing Splatoon in the corner, not talking. The kid is the scariest thing. I'm stalling because the farm is painful. If you saw the Ed Elric video, you saw me explain how farming works and item discovery. Take the base percentage of the item you want to drop, add your arcane to 100, then add 50 to it with a silver pickle, then multiply that base item drop percentage, put it over 100 minus the percentage for X, and divide the base percentage plus X by 100 plus X. Simple math. We're looking for the Celebrants Sickle. It's a smaller moon-shaped weapon, much more similar to Moon Knight's daggers. Its base drop percentage is 0.5%, which means 1 in 200. But don't worry, with all of our arcane and the silver feat, we can bump it up to 0.8%, which is 1 in 125? Much better? For reference, the item we struggled to get with Ed Elric gave us a 1 in 25 chance, so this is 5 times worse. But I guess there are 2 enemies that can drop it, specifically the ones wearing blue. The ones not wearing blue can't drop it, that's why I'm not killing them. Nobody ask that in the comments. Killing one of them makes all the ladies hostile, blue or not blue. So occasionally I'm gonna die, especially at the beginning when I'm finding the rhythm. The silver feet only last for 3 minutes at a time, so eventually we use all the ones we found in the overworld. Now we need to go buy more and get the silver pickle recipe from the smoldering church. Then we have to go kill more birds for feet to turn into pickles. After about an hour and 48 minutes and 129 dead dancing ladies, we get our first sickle. Our first sickle because we have to get 2, but 129 is 4 more than the 1 in 125 chance. So the next one is going to be faster. Probably. It's statistically more likely. Eventually we have to go get the second ingredient in the pickle recipe, silver fireflies. It's like how they don't sell the same number of hot dogs in a package as hot dog buns. The fastest farm I'm aware of is in the Sage's Cave. Unfortunately, getting out of the cave after grabbing them means we have to fight the Necromancer the first time. Deep cut. Let's slash up counter-universe Stephen Strange. Now we can quickly warp back to the beginning of the cave and come back here for silver fireflies when we need them. Not that we will, it's obviously going to drop real soon. After a bunch more attempts, we need more feet. I do have a good idea for all these extra runes though. We can get the Smithing Stone Bell Bearing 2 from a cave in Altus, then we can grab all the upgrade materials to get our sickles to plus 12 by the time, we actually get them. After 2 more trips for feet and fireflies, don't worry, we do die again. And then 2 more rounds of feet and 1 more round of fireflies before we died again. Then we ran out of Roa fruit, something I've never dealt with before. That's like running out of flour. When do you run out of flour? It might be clear here, but the second sickle took a bit longer, requiring 399 attempts, which is a statistical anomaly. 528 attempts total, 3 hours and 10 minutes, getting this run to 4 hours and 30 minutes of in-game time. Chat really kept me sane here. We started rhyming every number, which just sort of ended up cycling rhyming 2, 4, 6, and 8 repeatedly. Then people started calling out Pokemon and Digimon, which corresponded with the numbers we farmed. We got the first one on Magikarp and the second one on Bidoof, so the best Pokemon. That was where I ended things on the first stream, but we came back with a bit more farming to do. After leveling up the sickles, we head to the Weeping Peninsula to farm flask materials, a golden seed here, 1 sacred tear, 2 sacred tears, into the Tombs Ward Catacombs for Grave Glovewort 1 and 2, and a 3rd sacred tear. We have not killed a single shard bearer. We need to go fast now, and if we're going fast, I need assistance. The best team to join in Marvel is obviously the Avengers. If we could bring the entire Avengers roster to enact Khonshu's will, yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. They're at Jaren's party, preparing to fight Thanos. People came from all around to come get it, and everyone together will sing it loud by hitting Thanos a lot. Deadpool's our best friend since he's also stacking bleed, but these two Sickles are really something to celebrate. With the extra arcane we got from an absurd amount of grinding, we can open up Thanos like a can of soup. By the time he jumps up for a meteor second phase, he has like 20% health. When he lands, it doesn't take much more to take down the Star Scourge. Stars are the moon's neighbors. We can't abide their scourging. We did like 90% of the work in that fight though. Moon Knight's just more powerful than the Avengers, with one exception, but that guy wasn't at Jaren's party. He's gonna require a bit more effort. First, let's take out Doc Ock, or in this game, Godric. Godrock is way weaker than Thanos, and since phase 2 starts with a big slow flamethrower we can duck under to slash him up, it doesn't take much to take down Doctric. Since we killed 2 shard bearers, we can get another pocket, but I don't have anything to put in that pocket yet till we kill Gilka for the ritual sword talisman. It's really fast, it's Gilka, that's 10% more damage when we're at full health, so it's a good thing I'm great at dodging. Now we can go down the crater near Fort Height to fight another former avatar of Khonshu. This one looks so much like me, I could cry. It's like some sort of mimic tear. If you're sick of seeing Ronnie Quest, good news and bad news. The bad news is, she's the moon ending, we're the moon knight. The good news is, I don't care about endings, and I don't need Ghost Glove Ward. I'm just here for the Black Wet Blade to make the Sickles occult for bosses that are immune to bleed. Occult weapons scale with Arcane, but don't add extra bleed status. That's for a ghost we have to fight if we want to make friends with Spider-Man. Moon Knight team-ups always get a little quirky. This was my first time going all the way through the Caelid Catacombs. The furthest I had gone previously was just dipping in to grab the flower ashes for Poison Ivy. That was a rough build, much rougher than getting lost. I didn't know how the puzzle worked. I didn't know where the lever was. Right after finding the boss door though, I did find the lever.
It can't be that easy.
It's that easy.
Well, let's fight a ghost. The Cemetery Shade has no HP, but does not give a single shit when you hit him and carves up your HP like you didn't invest in Vigor. If you didn't invest in Vigor, you just die, by the way. But we did, so we can make it and get the Servant of Rot Ashes. Melania is the goddess of rot, and being smitten by a redhead is classic Peter Parker. He looks a bit spidery in this game, though. Of course, if Peter wants Mary Jane, let's go get him some more. In Gelmnir Hero's Grave, we can get the Grave Glovewort 7 and 6 here without getting killed by the page, and we get out completely unscathed.
Ow.
Almost completely unscathed. One danger dungeon isn't enough though. Let's go to the Divine Tower of Caelid. First, you climb up the outside without being pushed off. Then you have to fall down the inside of the tower until you find the elevator. That will bring you up again so you can fall down again. Normally, I die like 6 times just getting through here, but I made it through flawlessly like a goddamn legend. Looks like there's another former avatar of Khonshu in here, and he scaled for Endgame. Moon Knight wasn't in Endgame, but Spider-Man was. Check out his webs! Dying once hurts, but we're able to get it done the second time and can finally summon the suit. No mask yet. That's gonna be annoying later. Lots of annoying errands in this run. Like the Millicent quest line. It's actually my favorite side quest in the game, and Millicent is my favorite NPC, but we don't always get to play the way we want. First, Commander O'Neill. He bleeds, so not a problem. Then we talk to Spider-Man from another Spider-Verse and have him fix up some medicine that O'Neill dropped. Moon Horse parkour up to Millicent, where she'll cure herself. Yada yada yada. Shaded Castle. Valkyrie prosthesis. We fight another former avatar together, and okay, I have to kill her. She drops a really good talisman that Khonshu wants. It's awkward because we call the Gowrie Peter Parker and Melania Mary Jane, so we kind of killed their daughter. Okay, nobody tell him, and maybe we'll just go solo for a bit.
And as long as I got my suit and tie, I'ma leave it out on the floor tonight.
Varre has the Moon Knight mask, and I want one. He's being all cryptic about how he got it and wants us to fight 3 players online before he'll tell us where it is. We just have to fight them. We do not need to beat them, which is important because I'm bad at PvP. Maybe I could get good if I just got the Rivers of Blood and pressed L2, but it's easier to just stuff a sock down there. PvP number 1, I spawned on top of a cliff. The people I was supposed to fight were at the bottom of the cliff. I found a fast way down, then I found a faster way out of PvP, dying. PvP number 2 was actually the most fun I've I've ever had doing PvP in a FromSoft game because I disconnected and didn't have to do it. PvP 3, I sprinted at the person I was supposed to fight and hit L1. Either I would win fast or I would die fast. I died fast. We did it, gamers. PvP completed. Varre was lying. We actually have to run one more errand for him. We have to unwash his sheets. Weirdo. The best place to get Maiden Blood is in the Church of Inhibition, since you can also get a sacred tear while you're there. Sure, you have to fight Vike and he's gonna try and drive you mad, but that's a Tuesday for Moon Knight, so we kill him. Now Varre says he's gonna pull off our finger and like, oh my god, this might as well happen today. We can then teleport into the mask store, but Varre says not to do it until Dracula's ready to take over the world. Okay, Varre, sure buddy, whatever you say. We immediately warp to the mask store and it sucks. Sure, there's the Halleck Drake Talisman 2, which will help you resist holy damage by 20%, pretty good since that's what the end game boss does, but there are also invaders with the Swarm of Flies spell, pretty much the most annoying spell to dodge, since it slowly drifts at you until going from 0 to 60 in half a second, where it'll stun lock you in place and stack bleed on you. Ant-Man build when indeed. There's also Albernerics, which do cartwheels that will kill you twice, then the invader again, then the bird while fighting the invader. Oh yeah, I forgot, giant murder crows. They've been getting kind of violent since Disney cut them from the Dumbo reboot for being too racist. Fourth try, we finally killed a former Avatar invader, but that's not the one that drops the mask. There are 2 former avatars here. This place sucks. Number 2 is strategically placed next to another racist crow and some blood dogs. If you sneak in, you can fight them solo, but they still have Swarm of Flies, so yeah, it's a nightmare. Sometimes the crow decides to double up with them. Sometimes you roll off the cliff to avoid the flies, but I'd rather die to gravity than to this jackass again, and I won't die to him again. I died to the bird, but the bird also killed him at the same time, so now we have the Moon Knight mask. We are the final avatar of Khonshu. Cowabunga. In this Moon Knight game, Ghost Rider is called the Draconic Tree Sentinel. He's susceptible to bleed. Wait, we haven't beaten the Draconic Tree Sentinel yet? How many side quests did we do? Anyway, he bleeds into Lindell. No more distractions other than the Erdtree avatar since it drops a lot of runes. Sorry group, better luck next time, champ. We'll also grab the Ritual Shield Talisman before making a dead sprint towards progress. Just kidding, we have to go to the sewer, but I got glitched behind a tree first, so I had to reset. After jumping down the well, it's time for the subterranean shunning rounds, which is great if you love running around in shit and being crushed by giant monsters. It's not my thing, but I don't judge. The end of the first poop loop is being gate-kept by a fell omen. You need to fight or kite him. If you try to just run by, he's gonna knock you off the ladder and you're gonna die. But we clenched it the second time and can go to the bottom of the sewer where a lobster kills us on our way into the Lindell catacombs. Joke's on you, lobster. I didn't want to go there anyway. Remember when I said that the sewers were the worst? That was a lie. The Lindell catacombs are the worst, though they're debatably part of the sewers, so it's like finding a piece of gristle in the turd you're eating. This map gaslights you, which I'm not using lightly. It's a looping copy of the same map built on top of itself with little variation to make you think that you've already gone through here. It's designed to make you feel like you're losing your mind. So naturally, I navigated it perfectly the first time. Farming for 3 hours did some damage. I'm pretty comfortable in the realm of tenuous grasp on sanity. At the end is Eskar, Priest of Blood. It's a boss that's basically an NPC fight where he has a bleed knife and a swarm of flies. Another thing I'm intimately familiar with at this point. He drops the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, boosting our damage by 20% for 20 seconds after we make the bleed happen. Our mask does the same thing. Stacking with the Ritual Sword Talisman, that's 58% damage boosting after we make a bleed happen. Moon Knight is officially a blender, cosplaying as a superhero. Let's test it out on Flying Dragon Grail, who can bleed, and will give us enough runes to level up more. Just watch that health bar drop. It's really nice. Obviously, we needed that bleed buff for the Godfrey Shade, which is fully immune to bleed. That's what the occult weapons are for. And our damage is still pretty good. That's good to know. It's a sneak preview for the Elden Beast as much as it is a sneak peek of the first Elden Lord. Loki is back and simping pretty hard for Yggdrasil. It wouldn't be the strangest thing he's dated. I respect his fighting style though. Blender-like flurries, lots of bleed, and shouting out his god. We have a lot in common. Being alive is one thing we don't have in common though, because we killed it. Before heading up to the mountaintops of the giants, I want to buy some throwable moon knives from the merchant in the Weepig Peninsula. Then, through the Forbidden lands, and up the elevator, boom, mountaintop of the giants. First thing you should do in the mountaintops of the giants, if you're using common weapons, is grab the smithing stone bell bearing +3. That'll let you buy smithing stones 5s and 6s, but not without runes, so we've got to go carve up the rot dragon, and now Cowabunga +18. If you're using a common spirit ash like the Servants of Rot, you can also head to the giant conquering hero's grave for grave glove worth 8, 9, and 10. Ride down the elevator, then pull it back up for the secret elevator and climb the ladder with darkness and silence through the night. There's the 10. 9 is back upstairs on the way out. Now, Spider-Man has enough Mary Jane that he'll hopefully forget the whole Millicent thing. Surtur is apparently a job for Moon Knight and Spider-Man. That doesn't seem safe. Our bleed should be pretty good against the fire giant, but the meteors decided to kill me in the first fight. In the second fight, we popped 2 bleeds before his anklet breaks. Is that painting a good enough picture of how much bleed these daggers can put out? In phase 2, we actually get a stance break, letting us fish hook the eye with the moon sickle. I don't know why that seems so much more painful. I think it's because it's thinner and curved. Still, doesn't deal a lot of damage, but we can make enough bleeds happen that the fire giant gets very sleepy. After burning down Yggdrasil, we get warped to crumbling for Ramazula and fall down a big hole. It happens to the best of us. Just because FromSoft put a jump button in doesn't mean that this game is a platformer. The boss of this area is more avatars? What? Did James Cameron make this game? This one's a twofer, so I bring in Hercules to help me out. And even though they're weak to bleed, it's not free. The rollout attack is just ridiculous. It doesn't really end until it hits you twice, sometimes 3 times. If you're lucky, you can get on the pillar, but most of the time you can't. First fight, that killed me. Second time, it kind of killed me. Both Chunky and Skinny were in their phase 2 movesets. Skinny was doing the Black Flame Tornado next to the pillar that I was hiding from the rollout on, so I have to get off the pillar to avoid the Black Flame Tornado, but the rollout backboarded me into the tornado. I am in hell. One more death after that, but then we get it on the 4th try. Now, we are officially the last avatar of Khonshu, as long as I don't go into a cave in the mountaintops of the giants. Since we're Khonshu's only prophet, let's return the favor. Let's go make him the only god.
Start dancing, ho.
Since the Godskins dropped the last smithing stone bell bearing, we just need dragon stones to max out our sickles. One is free in the mountaintops of the giants. We'll get the other one fighting the beast clergyman. That'll make our next boss fight easier. The beast clergyman. Ghost Rider comes back and wallops us once. I don't know why the Draconic 3 Sentinel has been such a problem for me lately. Maybe I'm just overconfident. It's just the one death, and now we can battle Hank McCoy. Malekith resists bleed, but remember gamers, if something isn't fully immune to bleed, it does not actually resist bleed, especially if you've got 2 maxed out bleed weapons that are fast as hell. Worth pointing out, Malekith is never free. If he can move, he can kill you, so 1 death, but not too bad. And then we take the Rune of Death and head to the Duat. I could call Gideon Arthur Harrow, but the fight's gonna end really fast. Khonshu probably figured out he didn't like having a caster avatar and would rather have someone who stacks bleed. Relatable. Thunderbolt Ross is a more fun boss. Godfrey is no longer a shade and is susceptible to bleed, so we make the Red Hulk extra red after dying once. He hits hard, okay? Before we fight the last god in the lands between, we power up with Godric's Great Rune for +5 to every stat. With Occult Knives, we have 3 stats that scale damage, so that's essentially 15 levels of free damage. Debatably 30, since we're using 2 of them. I even popped a Holy Proof Dry Liver, too. It boosts your holy resistance, and to be honest, I needed to wrap the stream up. I had places to go, so I couldn't waste time fighting God. Fighting Radagon with short weapons isn't ideal. He's very dangerous up close with the aggression and damage and whatnot. Still, we're able to make it to Ra, and we even have Spider-Man for like a second before the Elden Beast nukes him. It also grabbed us, which is not good. If a boss has a grab, pro tip, don't get grabbed. Definitely don't get grabbed twice. Even if you have high arcane for better holy resistance, that's gonna make you chug through your flasks, and the Elden Stars are coming. But I just run far enough to avoid most of the damage from them and slash up the final god, which means we're done. The stream was done. I can't think of anything else Moon Knight would need to do.
I know you're here, Dracula, you big fucking nerd. Where's my goddamn money?
Let's get the bleed weapons out again. If Dracula wants blood, I'm gonna give it to him. We have to fight one of his servants first, Darth Talon. Again, Disney, make Kingdom Hearts 4 something like Moon Knight versus Darth Talon and make a more $1 billion. Beating Eleonora is really important since she gives you the physic here that stops Dracula's auto bleed attack from hurting you. But I entered the fight without putting it on because I'm a dingus sometimes. Still, if I'm Moon Knight, I'll try and get this bread. Random bullshit go, 3rd Moon Knight me. I play phase 1 pretty aggressively. I mean, why not? Fight's pretty much over already. When he starts stabbing the ceiling for the auto bleed and heal, I just kept swinging for the first stab and then chug-jugged for the second two. He goes for the blood punch, which lets me get another bleed off, and he's already almost dead. So I just ran away, and Spider-Man gets us our goddamn money at 8 hours and 53 minutes with 27 bosses and 30 deaths. We could have called it at the Elden Beast, but this literally added like 7 total minutes to the run, so it's definitely helpful for his stats. This lands in a really weird place. The death to boss ratio is on the lower end of average, but the time is what makes it weird. Since the 3 hours of grinding only added 4 deaths, it's actually doing pretty great for the amount of time it takes to die, but since it spent 3 hours without killing a boss, it made the time killing bosses second worse. Ivy was still slower, poor gal. Overall, it averaged out to be slightly ahead of Wolverine, which I guess isn't all that surprising since they have similar strengths and weaknesses. Bleeding things is good. Putting bleed on fast weapons makes things bleed faster, but faster weapons are usually shorter in reach, so it can make it hard to get in on things. If there's one takeaway from this build, it's that you should absolutely not try and get the Celebrants Sickles. And if you do, make sure that you've got a few voices to keep you company. Like my chat on Twitch. Follow me to watch these runs live. Join my Patreon to give me money, and subscribe to my other channel if you like D&D. I've made a lot of character builds in D&D as well.